Welcome back, my students. Dr. Oogway here, and today I bring you the video second of the histology playlist. And today's our topic is going to be compound epithelium. Compound epithelium. So let's begin. Compound epithelium, also known as stratified epithelium. Clearly, stratified. Stratified means many layers. Many layers. So compound epithelium or stratified epithelium consists of many layers. Clearly, in which in which basal layer in which basal layer is resting on basement membrane clearly. So what is stratified meaning? Stratified means many layers. Clearly, so compound epithelium or stratified epithelium in which there are many layers and the basal layer is resting on basement membrane. So if they consider this a basement membrane, so if this is basement membrane, then there are many layers of cells. Clearly, this is the first layer, then we have the second layer of cells, then we have the third layer of cells. Clearly, similarly, then we have the fourth layer of cells accordingly. But the basal layer is resting on basement membrane. So this is stratified epithelium. Clearly, now this stratified epithelium or compound epithelium, it is divided into four types. Clearly, it's of four types. How many types? Four types. Number first type of stratified epithelium is known as stratified squamous epithelium. Stratified squamous epithelium. Now we will draw this diagram and I will tell you what does it mean. What is stratified squamous epithelium? In stratified squamous epithelium, the basal layer, which rests on basement membrane, basal layer is cuboidal or columnar. Is cuboidal or it can be columnar. Clearly, intermediate layers, intermediate layers are polygonal. Are polygonal. Clearly, and its apical layer, its apical layer is squamous, as the name suggests. Squamous. Clearly, is squamous. Clearly, so that epithelium in which the basal layer is cuboidal or columnar, intermediate layers are polygonal, and the apical layer is squamous. Clearly, now we will draw this stratified squamous epithelium. Clearly, first we will draw the basal layer which is resting on the basement membrane. So what is this? This is basement membrane. So what is the basal layer? Basal layer is cuboidal or columnar. So we will draw. So here I drew columnar cells. These are columnar cells. Clearly, now intermediate layers are polygonal. Now we will draw intermediate layers. Clearly, these are polygonal. So intermediate layers are polygonal. Clearly, these are the intermediate layers. Now we will talk about its apical layer. Apical layer is squamous. Clearly, squamous. These are the squamous layer. Apical layer is squamous. Clearly, so we know this is the nucleus of the columnar cells. That's elongated, and the nucleus of the squamous cells are flat. Nucleus of apical layer. Clearly, so this is the stratified squamous epithelium. How do we determine it? It is stratified squamous epithelium, the basal layer, that's cuboidal or columnar. Here it is columnar. Clearly, these are the these are the intermediate layers. These are polygonal. Clearly, and the apical layer is squamous. This is the apical layer, that is squamous. So this epithelium is known as stratified squamous epithelium. Stratified meaning many layers. Squamous because apical layer is squamous. Clearly, we can see its diagram as well. This is the diagram. As you can see the diagram, what is this? Is the basement membrane. As you can clearly see the basement membrane. Then we have the basal columnar layer. Clearly, intermediate we have the polygonal cells, then the apical flattened cells. Clearly, so this is stratified squamous epithelium. Clearly, stratified squamous epithelium. Clearly, so stratified squamous epithelium is clear. Now this stratified squamous epithelium. Clearly, this stratified squamous epithelium is of two types. It is of two types. It can be keratinized, keratinized, keratinized stratified squamous epithelium, or it can be non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium. Clearly, these are the two types of the stratified squamous epithelium. Keratinized stratified squamous epithelium is same like the stratified squamous epithelium. The only difference is above its apical layer, that is the squamous, there is a presence of a layer, a keratinized layer. There is a presence of a keratinized layer. The top layer is keratinized. Clearly, that is above the squamous layer. That's above the squamous layer. Clearly, so in keratinized stratified squamous layer, topmost layer, topmost layer, it contains dead cells. Contains dead cells. Clearly, without nucleus, without nucleus, filled with keratin, filled with keratin, filled with keratin. Clearly, so in keratinized stratified squamous epithelium, it is exactly first basement membrane, then we have the columnar or cuboidal epithelium, clearly basal layer, then intermediate layers are polygonal, then the apical layer is squamous like this. Then we have the topmost layer which contains dead cells without nucleus filled with keratin. So it is keratinized. So this is called keratinized stratified squamous epithelium. Non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium is same as stratified squamous epithelium without the presence of keratin layer. Clearly, so these are the two types of stratified squamous epithelium. As you can see, these are the flattened cells, squamous cells. Above it, there is no keratin, so it is stratified squamous non-keratinized. Stratified squamous non-keratinized. Clearly, so this is the stratified squamous non-keratinized. While as if we look here, this is the stratified squamous keratinized. Stratified squamous keratinized. How? There is the basement membrane, then we have the basal columnar layer, then polygonal layer, then flattened cells, then above it we have the keratin layer. Clearly, so these are the two types of the stratified squamous epithelium: keratinized stratified squamous epithelium and non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium. Clearly, now we have examples. Keratinized stratified squamous epithelium. Clearly, where what are the locations of the body in which keratinized stratified squamous epithelium is seen? Clearly, it is seen in thick skin. Clearly, it is seen in anal verge. Clearly, it is also seen in filiform papillae of tongue. Filiform papillae. Clearly, now we have here the non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium. Examples. Clearly, where do we see non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium in our body? Clearly, it is seen in tongue, it is seen in vagina, it is seen in oral cavity, it is seen esophagus, it is seen in thin skin. Clearly, and it is also seen in other form of papillae. Clearly, for example, fungiform papillae and all that. Clearly, filiform papillae are keratinized stratified squamous epithelium, while as all the other forms of papillae are non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium. So this is the first type of the compound epithelium, that is the stratified squamous epithelium. Clearly, moving forward. Now we have here the second type of the compound epithelium, that's known as stratified cuboidal epithelium. Stratified cuboidal epithelium. Let's begin. What is stratified cuboidal epithelium? It is same like the other. Only difference is the apical layer is cuboidal. Clearly, first we have the basement membrane. Clearly, then we have cuboidal or columnar cells. Clearly, then we have intermediate polygonal cells. Clearly, polygonal cells. Then we have cuboidal cells. Cuboidal apical cells. This is stratified cuboidal epithelium. Stratified meaning many layers. Clearly, now we have example of stratified cuboidal epithelium. Where is it seen in our body? It is seen in ducts of exocrine glands. Clearly, and sweat glands. This is the examples of stratified cuboidal epithelium. Clearly, so this is the second type of the compound epithelium. Moving on to the third type of the stratified or compound epithelium. Third type is stratified columnar epithelium. As the name suggests, The apical layer is columnar. Similarly, first basement membrane, then we have the cuboidal or columnar cells, then we have the apical intermediate cells, clearly, then we have a columnar cell apical, clearly, columnar apical cells, clearly. So this is stratified columnar epithelium. Now, example, what is the location of the stratified columnar epithelium? It is seen in membranous urethra and penile urethra So this is the third type of the compound epithelium, clearly, or stratified epithelium or compound epithelium. Both are one and the same thing. Now the last and the most important compound epithelium or stratified epithelium is transitional epithelium, clearly. Like the other epithelium, first we have the basal layer, clearly. Basal layer, what is the basal layer? It is cuboidal or columnar, clearly. Then we have here the intermediate layers. What are the intermediate layers? Like other cells, it's polygonal, clearly. The only difference in all these epithelium is the apical layer. Here in transitional epithelium, apical layer is umbrella shaped with single nucleus, single nucleus, clearly. So I will show you the diagram of the transitional epithelium. This is the diagram of the transitional epithelium. First you can see basement membrane, then we will see the basal layer, that is cuboidal here, then we have the intermediate layers, those are polygonal, then we have the apical layer. As you can see, the apical layer, it's umbrella shaped cells. So which epithelium it is? It is transitional epithelium, clearly. So this is the fourth type of the compound epithelium, transitional epithelium, clearly. So example, where do we see transitional epithelium in our body? We see it in urothelium. What is urothelium? It is lining of urinary bladder and ureter. Urinary bladder and ureter, clearly. It has a unique feature. This transitional epithelium has a unique feature. That unique feature is stretchability. Stretchability and impermeability. Stretchability, that means it stretches. Clearly, when the urine is stored in urinary bladder expands. How does urinary bladder expands? This transitional epithelium helps urinary bladder as well as ureter to expand. Clearly, it allows urinary organs to expand and stretch. Clearly, impermeable. They are impermeable. So this is the transitional epithelium. So we studied in this lecture. We studied compound epithelium. Clearly, we studied compound epithelium, or also known as stratified epithelium, and its four types. Number first type is stratified squamous epithelium, which is of two types, keratinized and non-keratinized, clearly. Then we move on to the stratified cuboidal epithelium, then stratified columnar epithelium, then transitional epithelium. Simply, stratified means many layers. So compound epithelium is clear.